The wind howled across the ruined city, carrying dust and the scent of burned stone. Ryan tightened the straps of his armor as he walked slowly through the cracked streets. The war between humans and the Valorans had ended months ago, but the scars of battle remained everywhere. Towering buildings stood half-collapsed, their walls shattered as if struck by giant fists. Roads were broken and scattered with fragments of metal. Silence ruled these streets, broken only by the crunch of Ryan's boots and the faint whistling of the wind. Ryan had been assigned to patrol this abandoned area. His commander believed hidden machines might still lie beneath the ruins. Most soldiers disliked such duties, but Ryan never complained. He believed even small actions mattered. He checked every corner, scanning with his visor. Yet this time something felt different. He felt as if someone was watching him. He moved deeper into the ruins and entered a wide square. The ground here was uneven, cracked open by old explosions. A broken statue of an unknown Valoran leader lay on its side, its head shattered. Ryan paused and listened. At first there was nothing. Then faintly he heard it, a sound, a cry. Very soft, almost lost in the wind. Ryan froze. His training told him to stay cautious, but his heart urged him forward. He turned his head, focusing. The cry came again. It was not the cry of an animal. It was a child's voice, weak, trembling, yet still alive. He hurried toward the sound, weaving through broken pillars and fallen beams. The cry grew clearer as he approached a collapsed structure. The building had once been tall, perhaps a school or a hall, but now it was reduced to rubble. Stones and heavy metal sheets blocked the entrance. From beneath the twisted wreckage, the soft voice came again. Help. Ryan dropped to his knees. He pulled away smaller stones first, then used all his strength to push aside a heavy beam. Dust filled the air, stinging his eyes, but he kept working. Finally, through a narrow gap, he saw her, a young Valoran girl, small and fragile, trapped under a pile of debris. Her skin glowed faintly with a pale silver hue, and her eyes, large and bright, looked at him with fear and hope. She was trembling, her thin arms shielding her head. Without hesitation, Ryan spoke gently. It's all right. I'm here. I'll get you out. The girl blinked at him, unsure. She had probably been taught to fear humans. But she did not scream. She simply whispered again, please. Ryan took a deep breath. The beam above her was too heavy to move by hand. He activated the support tool on his armor, a small energy lifter used for field repairs. With a low hum, it glowed and began to raise the beam slightly. Sweat ran down Ryan's forehead as he strained. Slowly, he created enough space to slide the girl out. Come, crawl toward me, he urged. She struggled at first, her leg caught by a stone, but Ryan reached in and freed it. At last, she slipped forward into his arms. He pulled her clear just as the beam gave way and crashed down again, sending dust and sparks into the air. Ryan held her close, making sure she was not injured badly. She was weak, her breath shallow but alive. Her small hands clutched at his armor as if afraid he might vanish. Her eyes filled with tears, yet her lips formed one word. Mother. The word struck Ryan like a blade of memory. He thought of his own mother far away on Earth, always waiting for him to return from war. This girl was not just a survivor. She was someone's daughter. Someone out there believed she was gone forever. He gently lowered her onto a safe patch of ground and checked her injuries. Her leg was bruised and her clothes were torn, but nothing was broken. He offered her a small ration of water. She sipped slowly, her hands trembling. What is your name? Ryan asked softly. She hesitated, then whispered, Lyra. That is a strong name, he said with a faint smile. I am Ryan, you are safe now. Her eyes studied him carefully. She seemed surprised by his tone. She had expected cruelty perhaps, but instead found kindness. For a long moment neither spoke. The ruined city around them was silent again, as if listening. Ryan looked at her and understood what he must do. Leaving her here was not an option. She would never survive alone. He would return her to her people no matter the risk. We need to move, he told her gently. This place is not safe. Can you walk? She tried, but her leg gave way. Ryan caught her before she fell. Without hesitation, he lifted her into his arms. She weighed little, her fragile body trembling in his hold. She looked up at him, her eyes shining with both fear and trust. As he carried her through the broken streets, Ryan remained alert. The ruins were dangerous. Old machines could reactivate and patrols might appear. But none of that mattered now. His mission had changed. He was no longer searching for hidden weapons. He was protecting a life. The journey through the city was slow. Twice he had to hide when distant drones passed overhead. Once he nearly stumbled when the ground cracked beneath his boots, revealing a hollow chamber below. Yet each time he steadied himself, holding Lyra securely. She clung to him silently, her head resting against his chest. As the sun began to set, the sky turned red and gold, casting long shadows over the ruins. Ryan stopped at a sheltered corner of a fallen tower. Here they could rest for a while. He set her down gently and gave her a thermal blanket from his pack. She wrapped it around herself and shivered, though the warmth soon eased her. She looked at him with wide eyes and whispered, "Why help me? You are human. I am Veleran." Ryan met her gaze. "Because you are a child. Because no one should be left alone." Her lips trembled as if she might cry again. Then she lowered her head and whispered a single word. "Thank you." The night grew colder, but Ryan kept watch, his weapon resting across his lap. He knew dangers might come, yet he felt a strange calm. For the first time in many months of war, he felt his actions carried true meaning. Beside him lay a child who had survived the worst. He would see her safely home. Far above, the stars shone bright, and among them glimmered the unseen palace where her mother, the Queen of Valora, still mourned a daughter she believed lost. And here, in the ruins of a broken world, the path of human and Valoran began to change, because one soldier chose compassion over war. The morning sun rose slowly over the ruined city, painting the broken towers in shades of orange and gold. Ryan stood at the edge of their shelter, watching the light climb higher. His armor felt heavy, but his mind was sharp. Beside him, wrapped in the thermal blanket, Lyra stirred. Her eyes opened, still tired but filled with trust when she saw him standing guard. Ryan offered her a small smile. "Morning? We need to keep moving." Lyra nodded weakly. She tried to rise, but her injured leg made it difficult. Ryan knelt down and helped her to her feet, steadying her carefully. She managed a few steps leaning on his arm. Though slow, she was determined to walk. Ryan respected that spirit. He could see she was not just fragile but also strong inside. As they set out, the city felt alive with hidden dangers. The ruins stretched far in every direction, a maze of broken bridges, shattered walls, and fallen statues. Strange winds carried whispers through the cracks. Ryan moved with caution, his senses alert, his weapon ready. Every sound mattered. Every shadow could hide something dangerous. Lyra walked silently for a while, her small steps echoing softly on the broken stone. At last she spoke. "Why do you stay with me? You could leave." Ryan glanced at her. "I told you already. Because you should not be alone. And because your mother is waiting for you." Her silver eyes widened slightly. "You know about her?" "I know she must care deeply for you," Ryan replied. "A mother never forgets her child." Lyra lowered her head, whispering, "I thought I would never see her again." Her voice trembled, and she held tightly onto his arm. "You will," Ryan said firmly. "I promise." The path ahead grew more dangerous. They crossed broken roads where deep cracks revealed glowing energy lines left from old Valoran machines. Ryan made sure Lyra stepped carefully. At one point, the ground shook as a tall fragment of a building collapsed nearby, sending dust across the air. Ryan shielded her until it passed. By midday, the heat grew strong. They stopped under the shade of a broken archway to rest. Ryan gave her dried rations and water, though he ate little himself. Lyra watched him quietly as if studying his every move. Finally, she whispered, "Humans are not as I was told." Ryan raised his brow. "What were you told?" "That humans only bring fire and war," she said. "That they destroy and take." Ryan sighed. "Some humans fight, yes. Some choose war. But not all. Just as not all Velerans hate humans. There is always more than one truth." Lyra thought deeply about his words. Slowly, a small smile appeared on her lips. "You are different." Ryan gave a short nod. "Maybe. Or maybe I am only doing what is right." Their rest ended when a strange noise echoed through the ruins. A low hum, mechanical and steady. Ryan's instincts sharpened. He motioned for Lyra to stay quiet and crouched low, scanning the street. From the far end, a drone floated into view. Its metallic body glowed faintly, and its sensors flashed as it scanned the area. "Down," Ryan whispered, pulling Lyra gently behind a fallen column. The drone hovered closer, its searchlight sweeping the rubble. If it detected them, it would send an alert and more patrols would arrive. Ryan's grip tightened on his weapon, but he knew firing might expose them even more. He waited, his breath steady as the machine floated nearer. Lyra clutched his arm, her body trembling. He gave her a reassuring nod, silently promising to protect her. The drone passed so close they could hear its internal gears turning. Then, after scanning the area, it drifted away, disappearing down another street. Ryan exhaled slowly, and only then did Lyra release his arm. They continued onward, avoiding open streets whenever possible. Lyra's pace was slow, but Ryan never hurried her. He adjusted his path to keep them safe, using shadows and broken walls as cover. At one point, they discovered a hidden passage under the ruins, a tunnel once used for Velaran transport. The walls glowed faintly with old energy crystals, still alive after years of silence. Inside the tunnel, Lyra touched the crystals with her fingers. My people made these. They last forever. Like stars in the ground, Ryan studied them. Beautiful. Even after all this time, they shine. She looked at him with a soft smile. You notice beauty in things. That is why you saved me. Ryan did not answer right away. He kept walking, but inside his heart he knew she was right. He could not walk past life, not even the life of someone his people once called an enemy. The tunnel stretched long, leading them safely past several patrol zones. When they emerged, the city looked different. The buildings here were less damaged, though still abandoned. Strange banners hung torn from tall towers, symbols of Velaran royalty. Lyra's eyes widened as she recognized them. This was once close to the palace, she whispered. I remember. Ryan realized they were getting nearer to her home, though danger would also increase. If the palace still stood, it would be guarded heavily. He kept his thoughts to himself, not wanting to worry her. As evening approached, clouds gathered and rain began to fall. The water washed away dust, creating small rivers through the streets. Ryan guided Lyra into a sheltered chamber, perhaps once a library. Shelves lay broken, books scattered, pages torn and soaked. Still, the room was safe for the night. He built a small heat source from his pack and set it near her to keep her warm. Lyra sat close, staring at the faint flame-like glow. After a long silence, she spoke again. My mother told me stories when I was small. She said one day I would see the stars beyond our world, but I was taken before that could happen. Soldiers came, there was fire, and then I was lost. Her eyes filled with tears as she recalled the memory. Ryan listened carefully. He placed a hand gently on her shoulder. You are not lost now. You will see her again. She looked at him with hope shining through her sadness. Do you believe so strongly? I do, he said simply. That night, as the rain tapped against the broken windows, Lyra finally slept, her small body curled under the thermal blanket. Ryan stayed awake, watching the dark corners of the room, his weapon ready. He thought about the long journey still ahead, about the dangers waiting outside, and about the promise he had made. He had fought in many battles. He had seen comrades fall and enemies rise, yet nothing had felt as important as this. Protecting a child who trusted him, guiding her back to her mother. This was the true mission he had been waiting for. When dawn came again, Ryan helped Lyra to her feet, and they stepped out of the ruined library. The air smelled fresh after the rain, though danger still lingered in every shadow. The palace was still far, but with each step they drew closer, and though enemies hunted them, though storms and machines blocked their path, Ryan walked with steady resolve. He would carry her if needed, he would fight if forced, but he would never abandon her. The dangerous journey had only begun, yet in the bond between soldier and child, hope had already taken root. The sky was pale when Ryan and Lyra left the shelter of the ruined library. Broken towers stretched toward the clouds like the ribs of a fallen giant. The air smelled of damp stone after the night's rain, and every sound seemed sharp, echoing through the empty streets. Ryan walked first, scanning the paths ahead, while Lyra followed close, her small hand gripping the side of his armor. For a while, they moved quietly. Birds, strange in shape and color, darted between the remains of old houses. Their cries filled the silence, but Ryan did not relax. He knew the longer they stayed in the open, the greater the risk. Somewhere beyond the ruins, enemy patrols continued their watch. Somewhere above, drones might still circle. As they moved across a wide street, Lyra tugged his arm. I know this place, she whispered. There is a path under the ground not far. Ryan crouched to listen. Her silver eyes glowed faintly in the morning light. How do you know? My mother brought me here once before everything changed, she said. I remember a hidden way. It leads closer to the palace. Rian trusted her memory. Children often notice details adults overlooked. Show me, he said. She guided him toward a cracked fountain at the center of the street. Water no longer flowed, but the stone base still stood. Behind it, half hidden by weeds, lay a narrow stairway descending into darkness. Rian checked carefully for traps or sensors, then helped Lyra down the steps. The passage smelled of old dust and iron. Strange symbols glowed faintly on the walls, ancient Valoran markings that pulsed like a heartbeat. The tunnel stretched long, twisting beneath the ruins. Their footsteps echoed softly as they walked. For a while, the underground path gave them safety. Yet Rian's instincts told him it would not last. He had survived too many battles to trust in luck for long. His unease was proven true when a sound echoed behind them. A sharp metallic clang, then another. Lyra froze. What is that? Ryan raised his weapon. Stay behind me. From the shadows came machines. Small spider-like drones with glowing eyes, their legs clicking against the stone floor. They moved fast, scanning the tunnel. At first only 2 appeared, then 4, then more. Run, Ryan ordered. He fired bursts of energy, striking the first drones and shattering their metal shells. Sparks lit the tunnel as they fell, but more crawled forward. Lyra ran ahead, her bare feet splashing through shallow puddles. Ryan covered her, moving backward, shooting to slow the machines. The tunnel twisted again and opened into a chamber with broken pillars. Ryan saw the far exit, but between them and the stairs stood 3 larger drones, their frames heavier, their claws glowing with energy. Lyra gasped, but Ryan pushed her gently behind a pillar. Stay low. He charged forward, firing in controlled bursts. The first large drone reeled back, sparks flying. The second slashed with its claw, cutting through a stone pillar as if it were paper. Ryan rolled aside, blasting its core. The third advanced, fast and deadly, forcing him to block with his armored arm. Pain shot through him, but he gritted his teeth and struck back. The battle raged in the chamber. The sound of blasts echoed like thunder. Lyra crouched behind the pillar, trembling but watching him with wide eyes. To her, he looked like a figure carved from courage itself, refusing to yield. Finally, the last drone collapsed, its body sparking. The chamber filled with smoke and the smell of burned metal. Ryan stood panting, his armor scratched and dented, his arm bruised, but he was still alive. He helped Lyra out from her hiding place. She looked at him with awe. You fight like the stories. Stories? He asked, catching his breath. The old tales my mother told, she whispered. Of guardians who never gave up. Rian said nothing. He only nodded, and together they climbed the far stairs, leaving the broken drones behind. When they emerged back into the city, the day had grown brighter. Yet danger had already spread ahead of them. From the rooftops, Rian saw shadows moving. From the sky, distant drones hovered. Somehow news of their presence had reached both humans and Valorans. They think I took you, Ryan muttered. Lyra looked up at him with confusion. But you saved me. They do not know that, he said grimly. Soon the chase began. Figures appeared on the streets, both human scouts and Valoran guards searching. Shouts echoed through the ruins. Ryan grabbed Lyra's hand and ran, weaving through alleys and broken archways. Every turn brought danger. Sometimes the shouts came from humans, accusing him of betraying his own side. Other times they came from Valorans, believing he was holding their princess hostage. Lyra struggled to keep pace with her injured leg, but Ryan lifted her onto his back and carried her. She clung to his shoulders, whispering directions when she recognized a safe path. Together they raced through the city like shadows. At one point, a human scout squad blocked their path. Ryan ducked into a fallen building, hiding behind broken walls. Through the cracks he heard their voices. He has the girl. He's a traitor. Orders are clear. Capture him. Use force if needed. Lyra's eyes filled with fear, but Ryan placed a finger to his lips. Silence saved them. When the scouts passed, he carried her out the back, moving swiftly again. By afternoon, they reached a bridge spanning a wide chasm. The bridge was broken in places, but still passable. Ryan began to cross, holding Lyra tightly. Halfway across, Valoran soldiers appeared on the far side, their weapons drawn. Behind them, more drones rose from the chasm. They were trapped. Lyra gasped. We cannot fight them all. Ryan studied the bridge, his mind racing. Then he saw a narrow support beam running along the side. Risky, but their only chance. He looked at Lyra. Do you trust me? She hesitated only a moment, then nodded firmly. Yes. Without wasting time, Ryan climbed onto the side beam, balancing carefully with Lyra in his arms. The drop below was endless, a dark pit of broken stone. The Valorans shouted and fired, but their shots struck only the bridge. Ryan moved quickly, his boots slipping slightly but never letting go of the beam. Step by step, they reached the far end, hidden by the angle of the ruins. At last, they leapt down to safety, disappearing into the maze of streets once more. Lyra's breath came fast, but she was smiling faintly. You carried me like wings, Ryan managed a tired grin. More like heavy boots. They found cover in a small courtyard resting beneath a stone balcony. Both were exhausted, but the bond between them had grown stronger. Lyra leaned against him, her trust complete. Protector, she whispered softly. That is what you are. Ryan looked down at her. The word touched something deep inside him. He had been called soldier, fighter, warrior, but never that. He placed a hand on her shoulder, steady and firm. I will not fail you. As the sun lowered, painting the sky in crimson, the chase continued in the distance. The voices of hunters echoed, machines whirred, and shadows moved. But Ryan and Lyra pressed forward step by step, closer to the palace. The world around them burned with suspicion and fear. But in their journey together, something greater was born. Trust between human and Valoran. And that trust would guide them through the darkest paths yet to come. The sun was low on the horizon when Ryan and Lyra finally reached the outer walls of the palace. The grand structure of Valora rose before them, its towers stretching high into the sky. Even in the fading light, its beauty was clear. The walls glimmered with energy from embedded crystals, and banners adorned with Valoran symbols fluttered in the evening breeze. Lyra's silver eyes widened as she took in the sight. It is still here, she whispered. The palace. Mother is inside. Ryan held her hand gently. Then we must reach her before anyone stops us. They moved carefully along a hidden path that Lyra remembered from her childhood. The walls of the palace gardens were broken in places, but the paths were familiar to her. She guided Ryan around sentries and patrols, leading him toward a smaller, less guarded entrance near the rear of the palace. As they approached the door, Ryan sensed a shift in the air. The palace itself seemed alive, as if it knew someone important was returning. Guards had noticed them, but Lyra whispered directions that allowed them to move quietly, avoiding detection. Every step was tense, every shadow a potential threat. Finally, they entered a long hallway that led to the throne room. The hall was vast and lined with pillars that glowed faintly with ancient energy. The crystal walls reflected the light of the setting sun, creating a kaleidoscope of colors. Ryan stopped for a moment, taking it all in. This was no ordinary palace. This was a place of power, history, and memory. Lyra's hand tightened on his arm. Mother is here, she whispered. She will know me, Ryan nodded. Then let's go. They moved forward, the sound of their footsteps barely audible on the polished floor. As they reached the end of the hall, the throne room doors came into view. They were tall, carved from a dark metal that shimmered with intricate patterns. Ryan could feel the energy radiating from the doors, a quiet but commanding force. Lyra stepped ahead, hesitating only briefly. She pushed the doors open, revealing the throne room. The room was grand beyond imagination. Tall windows let in the last rays of the sun, casting golden light across the polished floor. At the far end, seated on a raised platform, was the Queen of Valora. Her silver skin glowed softly, and her eyes, sharp and full of wisdom, were fixed on something across the room. When the Queen saw Lyra, her eyes widened. The world seemed to stop. She rose slowly, her hand reaching toward her chest. Lyra, her voice trembled, soft but powerful, carrying the weight of hope and fear. Lyra ran forward, tears streaming down her face. Mother! She cried, her voice echoing in the vast chamber. The Queen opened her arms and Lyra fell into them. They held each other tightly, rocking slightly as if neither could believe this moment was real. Ryan stepped back, giving them space, watching quietly. Tears rolled down the Queen's cheeks. I thought you were gone forever, she whispered. I searched for you every day, every night. I never stopped believing you would return. Lyra clutched her mother's shoulders. I was trapped. I was afraid, but Ryan, he saved me. She turned toward him, her eyes shining. He carried me through dangers I could not face alone. He never left me. The Queen's gaze shifted to Ryan. For a moment, the air was heavy with tension. This human had risked everything to return her child. Then slowly the Queen stepped forward. She extended her hand, her expression softening. "You are brave," she said, "and kind. You have shown more honor than many soldiers I have known." Ryan bowed his head slightly. "I only did what I had to do. I could not leave her behind." The Queen nodded, understanding the depth of his words. "You are welcome here as a friend, as a guardian of my daughter." Lyra smiled through her tears. "See, Mother? He is my protector." The Queen held Lyra close, then looked at Ryan once more. "Your courage has reminded us all that the greatest strength is not in weapons or armies, but in heart and compassion. You carry the best of humanity." Ryan felt a warmth in his chest, a quiet pride that had nothing to do with accolades or medals. He had simply done what he knew was right. And now, he had witnessed a miracle. A mother reunited with her daughter. The throne room was quiet for a few moments, filled only with the sounds of soft breathing and the distant wind outside. Then the Queen spoke again, her voice steady. "Tell me everything. How did you find her? How did you keep her safe?" Ryan recounted their journey, from the collapsed city to the underground tunnels, the drones, and the human patrols. Lyra added her memory of secret paths and hidden passages. The Queen listened carefully, absorbing every detail. When Ryan finished, she rose and approached him. "Your actions will not be forgotten," she said. "You have bridged two worlds in a way few could imagine. You are part of our story now." Lyra hugged Ryan tightly. "See, you are my hero." Ryan smiled faintly. "I am just a soldier," he said, though he knew these words were modest. To him, what mattered was the child's safety and the mother's joy. The Queen guided them to a smaller room within the palace. It overlooked the gardens, which were broken in places but still beautiful. She poured a warm drink for Ryan and offered one to Lyra. They sat together, talking quietly. Lyra described the palace as she remembered it, the lessons her mother had taught her and the friends she had lost. Ryan listened, offering comfort and encouragement. As night fell, the palace lights glowed softly, reflecting off the crystal walls. The Queen stood at the window, holding Lyra close. Ryan watched them for a moment, feeling a quiet sense of fulfillment. This reunion was more than a victory. It was proof that humanity's best qualities, courage, compassion, and empathy, could cross even the widest divides. Lyra finally turned to Ryan, her small hand resting on his arm. "Will you stay for a while?" she asked. Ryan hesitated. His mission was over, yet he knew the bond formed during their journey could not simply end. "If you wish it," he said. The Queen smiled softly. "Then you are welcome. Our home is yours as well." That night, Ryan stayed in the palace near the two who mattered most. He watched Lyra sleep, her face peaceful for the first time in many months. The Queen sat nearby, writing messages and giving orders to ensure the palace's protection. And outside, the world was quiet for the first time in a long while, as if it too recognized the significance of the reunion. For Ryan, the journey had changed him. He had faced dangers, fought enemies, and braved storms, but none of it compared to the feeling of witnessing a mother embrace her lost child. Compassion had guided him, and it had succeeded where weapons could not. In the quiet palace under the glow of crystals and the fading moonlight, hope was reborn. A child returned to her mother. A soldier remembered the power of kindness, and the bond between human and Velaran grew stronger than any fear or misunderstanding. The night passed gently, filled with soft conversation, quiet laughter, and the warmth of family restored. And though tomorrow would bring new challenges, the reunion had proven one undeniable truth. Courage and heart could change the world. The morning light bathed the palace gardens in soft gold. Birds with shimmering feathers flitted among the trees, singing songs that seemed almost celebratory. Ryan stood quietly on the balcony, looking out over the grounds. After days of danger and running through ruined streets, the peace of the palace felt unreal. Yet he knew that the world beyond the walls was still tense, still uncertain. Beside him, Lyra adjusted her clothing, her eyes bright with excitement. "I can go outside now," she said. "I can run through the gardens like I used to." Ryan smiled faintly. "Yes, but be careful. You still need to take small steps," Lyra giggled. "I will. You are always so serious." Ryan shook his head, trying not to laugh. He had spent so long in danger, so long thinking only of survival, that moments like this seemed foreign. And yet, seeing the joy on Lyra's face reminded him why he had risked everything. The queen approached, her presence calm but commanding. Her eyes shone with gratitude and pride. "Ryan," she said, "today the palace celebrates more than just my daughter's return. It celebrates courage, loyalty, and the heart that bridges worlds. You have given us hope." Ryan bowed slightly. "I did only what I had to do. Your daughter was not alone. That was all I wanted." The queen smiled softly. "No, you have done more than that. You have reminded us that trust and compassion are stronger than fear, and your actions will not be forgotten by our people." Lyra ran ahead, her small feet scattering petals as she moved toward the open gardens. She laughed freely, a sound that filled the palace with warmth. Ryan watched her, the weight of past struggles slowly lifting from his shoulders. He had carried her through danger, fought machines, outsmarted both human and Valoran pursuers, and now he saw her smiling safely in the light. The queen joined them, walking slowly, letting Lyra lead. She stopped and looked at Ryan. "Will you walk with us?" Ryan nodded. "I will." They moved through the gardens together. Broken statues and cracked paths no longer seemed frightening. They were reminders of what had been lost and what had been saved. Flowers grew in small patches, defiant against time and neglect. Ryan felt a sense of calm he had never known during the long days of battle. As they reached a fountain at the center of the gardens, Lyra paused. The water was still and clear, reflecting the sky. She knelt, dipping her hands in gently. "I remember this place," she said softly. "Mother used to bring me here. She told me the water would show me my path." Ryan knelt beside her. "And does it?" he asked. Lyra smiled. "Yes, I see now. My path is not just my own. It includes those who help and protect, and my path brought me back to you." Ryan felt a warmth in his chest. Words could not fully express what he felt, but in that moment he understood why he had risked so much. He had been guided by duty, yes, but also by something deeper. The bond between them, human and Valoran, had grown into trust and respect. The queen stepped closer, placing her hand on Lyra's shoulder. "Your courage has shown us that humans are not only warriors. They can be guardians, protectors, and friends. Ryan, you have taught my people something they will never forget." Ryan looked at the queen, then at Lyra. "I only wanted her safe. That is all. But it is more than that," Lyra said softly. "You have changed everything. Because of you, we have hope." A commotion stirred near the palace gates. Ryan and the queen moved closer, tense at first, ready for trouble. Yet when they arrived, they saw groups of humans and Valorans waiting, not with weapons raised, but with curious, cautious expressions. They had heard of the rescue and of the soldier who returned the lost child. The queen raised her hand. "Do not fear. We honor those who act with courage and heart. Today we celebrate life, trust, and unity." The crowd listened, the tension slowly melting into admiration. Ryan noticed that even among humans there was respect, and among Valorans, gratitude. What he had done mattered beyond himself. His choice to protect Lyra had bridged divides that weapons could never mend. Lyra ran into the center of the gathering, her small hands raised. "He saved me," she cried. "He brought me back to my mother. He is my protector." The crowd cheered, a sound that carried across the palace grounds. Ryan felt embarrassed by the praise, but he let it wash over him. This recognition was not for himself alone. It was for the belief that kindness and courage mattered, even in the darkest times. The queen stepped forward. "Ryan's actions remind us all that the future is not only written by leaders or soldiers. It is written by those who choose compassion, who act with honor, and who protect the innocent. Let this day mark a new beginning between humans and Valorans." The words carried weight, echoing across the palace gardens. For the first time in a long time, there was a feeling of unity. Humans and Valorans, who had once only known war and fear, now glimpsed a path toward cooperation and understanding. Ryan watched quietly as Lyra returned to her mother, their hands clasped together. He realized that the journey had changed them all, but it had also changed him. The boy who had once only followed orders had grown into someone who understood that courage and heart could make the impossible possible. For the next days, Ryan remained at the palace. He trained alongside Valoran guards, shared stories of his missions, and learned about the history of the Valoran people. Lyra's presence reminded him that heroism was not about glory, but about action and integrity. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Lyra ran to Ryan again. "Do you want to see something?" she asked. He followed her to the top of a small hill overlooking the palace grounds. She pointed to the sky where stars were beginning to appear. "Mother said that the stars are always watching us. They guide us and remind us of those who care. Look, Ryan, they shine for you too." Ryan looked up at the night sky. The stars seemed brighter than ever. He felt a quiet peace, knowing that his actions had brought safety, hope, and a bond that would last. The Queen joined them, placing a hand on Lyra's shoulder. "Your journey is complete, but the story continues," she said softly. "Human and Valoran, together, can achieve what was never thought possible. You, Ryan, will always be part of our history." Ryan felt a sense of humility and pride together. He had done what was right, and in doing so, he had shown that humanity's best qualities could shine in any corner of the universe. Lyra leaned against him. "Thank you for everything," she whispered. "For carrying me, for believing in me, for never leaving me." Ryan patted her head gently. "You never needed thanks. You needed someone to protect you. That was enough for me." The Queen smiled at them both. "Let the future be guided by this example. Let our worlds remember that courage and compassion are the greatest weapons. Stronger than armies, stronger than fear." The night settled over the palace, calm and serene. In the garden, laughter, conversation, and gentle music filled the air. Ryan watched the scene, knowing that his journey had reached its end, yet its impact would last far longer than any battle. He realized that heroism was not measured by medals or titles, but by the choice to act with courage and heart when it mattered most. Lyra had been lost. The Queen had mourned, and yet through one soldier's actions, hope and life were restored. As the stars twinkled above, the palace gates opened wider than ever before. Humans and Valorans walked freely together, sharing stories and offering friendship. Ryan knew that the path ahead would have challenges, but the beginning was strong, built on trust, bravery, and kindness. In that moment, Ryan understood something simple yet profound. Humanity had proven itself not through conquest, but through courage, compassion, and the choice to protect life. And that truth would shine far brighter than any war or weapon. Lyra's hand in his reminded him of everything he had done and everything still possible. Together with the Queen and her people, a new era had begun, one where human and Valoran could stand side by side, united by hope and guided by heart. And in the quiet night, under the glow of crystal lights and stars above, Ryan knew that he had witnessed something far greater than any battle. He had seen the power of humanity at its best, the proof that even in a galaxy full of danger, courage and compassion could change the world.